Okay, my most important genealogy tip, sources. I know maybe that's not what you want to hear, but it really is the most important thing. I know sometimes when people hear sources, they're just kind of like, oh my gosh, that's so much work. I don't know how to do that. And it totally scares them off, but it doesn't have to be. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about different ways to source information and why it's so important, and how if you do that, you're going to be a better genealogist and you're not going to make so many mistakes, and your trees are going to be more accurate, and you're going to have more fun actually in the long run. I just promise there's so many reasons why you want to do it, and you don't want to make the big mistake that most people, in all honesty, most people make this mistake when they begin their genealogy research. They don't source well enough and they come to regret it. And I'm speaking from experience. So if you're a beginning genealogist, you got to listen to this video. And even if you're not, you want to listen to the video. Now, if you're a more experienced genealogist or maybe even a professional genealogist, I have a source hack that you might kind of really like. So I'm going to talk about the basics of sources first, and I'm going to talk about some examples of how you can do your sources, and then I'm going to show you my little hack that as a professional genealogist saves me a boatload of time. So let's dive in. All right, let me show you first of something that I have an example of in my family tree. So here is Mary Ann Milloway. She's my third great grandmother, and I have the family Bible for her family, the Harris family. And the family Bible actually solved a family mystery, but that's a whole nother story. But I made this mistake when I first started doing genealogy, and you think you're not going to forget, but let me tell you, you do. I started doing genealogy when I was in my teens. And when I look at some things now, I have absolutely no idea where I got the information. And I need to know. I need to know, one, if it's solid information, if it's reliable, and if, where it's based on now that I'm more serious about this. And I also need to know because I need that information to be able to determine what my next steps are and where I need to go for other information. So if you're starting out your family tree, you've got to write down the information. Now, do you have to make these fancy big old charts? Like, here's an example of a research chart that I have made for a client. And I've seen so many people go to genealogy conferences and they're pounded. You need to source, you need to source, you need to source. And it stresses them out. And they're like, this is so much work. I don't know how to do this. This is way harder than I think it is. And I can't do this. Please don't go there. Yes, you need to source. And as a professional, I'm sourcing. But if you're doing your own family tree, first of all, it's your business. That's the first thing. And the second thing is all you're trying to do is create something that you can have for your family. So do you need a full-on crazy document? No, you really don't. But you need to write down where you got the information for all the reasons that I've already explained to you. So let me talk to you a little bit about how I do that. Let me go back to this family tree. You'll see here that she has her birth. And all I did in my Ancestry program, you could do this in a genealogy program, you can do this on familysearch, you can do it in lots of different places, okay? You can add some of this information. I really build a lot of my trees in Ancestry, and I love familysearch. I love Find My Past and My Heritage, but this is where I live. And I like how I can add some information into this box right here. Now, if I go into the box, if I have a date, it's in this description right here that I'm talking about. And all I wrote was date from Family Bible in my possession. Okay? That's for me. Now, if I'm going to publish more about this family, I need to properly source it in the proper format and all that kind of information. I'm not taking anything away from that. But I see too many beginning genealogists quit because they think it's too hard, they think it's over their head, and they think they can't do it. Or worse, no, not worse. Or they tend to just not put any source in at all. And then they're going to come to regret it. As they get more into it, they're going to come to regret it. So we're going to start simple, okay? Don't let these big research calendars scare you off. So when you come across family information, you need to just write it down. So here I have the exact birth date. That exact date came from the family Bible in my possession. Maybe I'll put something in there that because Grandma Georgette told me so. That can be a source, okay? That's my father's mother, and some of the information that I have in my family tree came from her recollection. Now, there is an official way to list that source, but really all that's important is that you write down that it came from her, okay? So please just go through your family trees and write down where you got the information. You can even put in there, that's my recollection. It doesn't matter. I don't care, okay? Just do it. Now, as you're building your family tree in a program like Ancestry, or really any of the programs now, it's so much easier than it was when we were doing it on paper because they digitally attach everything. And so while the research calendars are great and super important, particularly if I want to show a client what I've done for him, I've got all this stuff digitally attached in my own tree. I don't need to come up with these fancy sources. It's there in the tree. So, and when you click on it, it tells you where that information came from, right? And a lot of these programs are doing that now. And use this program, whichever one you're using, to keep track of where you got the information. And use that details section to write down important notes when you have them. Now, I'll be honest, is all of this right in my family tree on Ancestry? No, I still don't have it all fixed. I do more work for other people than I do for myself. But this is really how you want to start. So it's easy. It's not that hard. It's not that difficult. This shouldn't stop you from building a family tree. Just get it done. Have I drilled that in enough? All right, let's move on. All right, let's say you want to be more professional in your family tree. Let's say you want to do the research calendar, you want to source things properly. And I can't in this video go into the different types of programs and how to add a source. That would be the stuff of another video, and I don't want to try to hit on that today. If you're really interested in something like that, would you put it in the comments and then I'll add it to my list. But I want to show you kind of like more information that I might have when I'm building a research calendar for a client. Now, a research calendar is the document that says, I looked at this, and I looked at this. Items in your research calendar may include negatives. They're going to include things that you looked at that gave you no information. Like in this research calendar that I did for a client where I have permission to show it, I have negative results for the people that I'm looking for. And that's an important source. Now, the next topic that will come up is how do you write your sources? And again, that's another video. There is not one train of thought. Elizabeth Shown Mills has a great book that is kind of known as the Bible of sources. I'm going to put a link to that book in the video description. It's an Amazon affiliate link. So if you use the link, you're not going to be charged anymore, but I'll get a little bit, which helps the channel. So thanks, I appreciate it. But it's a great book, and she has a very clear method of how to do sources and gives you lots of examples of if it's this type of a document, if it's from this kind of a book, if it's an oral history. Anyway, all of that is in there. And so it's super helpful. However, there have been other researchers that are very respected that have come up with different books. Tom Jones has a different book that talks about various ways to cite sources. And he kind of uses a different method of how to identify the source. I took an advanced genealogy SLIG class, and we had an entire lecture on this. There's a lot of different ways and different methods that you can use your sourcing. You just want to be consistent, okay? And I may go against some people and they may send me hate mail, but I really don't think there has to be one way. If you're publishing in a particular journal, they're going to have a way they want you to write your sources. If you're publishing in a different journal, they're going to have a slightly different way. So there's no industry standard, to be honest with you. The standard is have sources. And so how you want to list them may differ. Okay, this is how I currently do my sources. I've kind of changed it over the years through learning different methods, being exposed to different options, and then just kind of experience. This is what's working for me. I list creator first. I want the title of it. What is it? And then it's the whereabouts. So if this was in a volume, like let's say this was in volume 5, page blah, right, of this book of death certificates, I'm going to put that there. I'm going to put in the details. I'm going to put in the certificate number and the person on the certificate and the date of death. Then I'm going to put the access method. I'm going to put the how I accessed it. Did I get it on Family Search? Did I get it on Ancestry? If so, what record group was it in? and maybe what image of microfilm was it, what microfilm number was it. I'm going to be putting that information in there. And then finally, if applicable, I'm going to cite. Sometimes I need to offer additional citing information, and I'll put that there. That's what I'm using right now. And so what works for you? The important things that you want in a source are who created the source, what's the information in it, how do I find it again, and where did I locate it? Does that make sense? If you have any questions, put them in the comments and I'll address them, I promise. All right, now my hack, my final thing today. For those of you out there that are looking for ways to shortcut writing sources, because I view it like if I'm working for a client, time is money. And so I've worked really hard over the years to come up with ways to streamline things and make them a little better. And I love this hack. And it's kind of my little secret, so I'm sharing it with you. I came across a program called Text Expander. And what it does is you just enter in brief things and then it expands into something bigger. And I use it for my sources. All right, so here's Text Expander's page. They're not paying me anything for this, okay? So you can test drive it for 30 days at no cost. Give it a try, see if it works for you. There's probably some other programs like it out there. This is what I've started using and I like it. It works for me. If you're just an individual and you want to do this, the cost is going to be $333 a month or just under $40 a year. For me, for clients, it's worth it. For you, maybe it's not, but this is what I do. Let me show you how it works. So here is Text Expander as loaded onto my computer. You need to load it onto your computer, and I'm not going to go through all those details. I'm assuming you're going to be able to figure it out. But I have different topics now. So I have different things that I use for different types of records that I'm entering into my research calendar. And all I need to do is enter a semicolon and then those things, and that Text Expander will open up. Like, let me show you my census one because it's the biggest one. Semicolon SUS, and I know I'm going to be typing in a census record. And those little circles are different information that it's going to ask me for, and then it's going to pop up what I need. Now, I do my research calendars in Excel. I know a lot of people prefer to do them in Word as a table, and I get that. I'll tell you why I don't. When I am copying information from like Ancestry or familysearch or something like that, and if I paste it into the table, it becomes a formatting nightmare because it doesn't all format easily and quickly. It drives me crazy. So I put it into Excel, and there's a couple of advantages. And when I put it into Excel, the formatting goes away. It doesn't matter. Excel doesn't pay any attention to that formatting. And so it doesn't cause a problem for me. And then I'll later take the Excel spreadsheet, I'll copy the information, and I'll drop it in. I can drop it into a Word document and it'll show up as a table. And then I can format the table and I can change the font and I can do whatever, and I do it all then. Now for some people, this isn't gonna work. It works for me. So do what you want. But the other thing that I really like about Excel is it's a quick sort. If I wanna sort by the person of interest, if I wanna sort by the source, if I want to sort by the number, if I want to sort by the document number, I can sort by any of that information. So let me show you how a census record would work, okay? And I just do semicolon SUS. Voila, my Text Expander opens up. And then I enter in the year. So let me use an example here. So I've got a census record here that I'm going to pull up. And I'm going to put the information, I'm looking at another screen, is why you see me looking funky places. And so I'm going to put the information here into the Text Expander. So this is the 1850 census. And then I type in that money number and I hit tab and I get to the next spot. And this is in Franklin County. County's already there. Tab again. Vermont. I have another Text Expander for Vermont and I can put it here. I have it for the states. So I do a colon, a semicolon again, and a capital VT, and I have Vermont, okay? Tabbing. Now this little check here allows me to keep the town in, or if I uncheck it, it's gonna remove that information because in some census records, it doesn't have the town. There was no enumeration district, so I'm gonna uncheck that box and it's gonna make it go away. And the page was page 151A, and I do have a dwelling number in this record, and the family number is 208, and the household is William Harris, and it is an NARA, a National Archives, microfilm M432, roll 680. Okay? If it was a family history library document, which on Ancestry is sometimes the case, I could change that and I can remove the roll number by doing that. And then I click OK, and look what I've got here. Voila. But doesn't make something italicized that I want italicized. So I just highlight it, italicize it, hit return, and voila, my record is done. Now, that may seem like it takes a long time and I went through it slowly, but I can do that really fast. I also have a little hint for a date. If I just click semicolon D, I have the current date. All right, so what are some of the other ones that I use? I also use this hack for Ancestry, Find My Past, My Heritage, Find a Grave. I have a lot of them. So let me give you another example of one that I would use on Ancestry, okay? So again, I'm going to follow my same format on how I'm going to list the source. Now, the source that I'm going to be using is this California U.S. voter registration on Ancestry. Here's the detail of the source, and then there's additional source information here, okay? And then the image of it is right here. And so I want to cite this source with my hack. So let me show you how I do that. All right, I want to look at this image a little bit more carefully and see exactly what it's about. This is an index to the Great Register from Orange County, California, Anaheim, precinct number 18, 1954. Now again, remember, I'm going to use that same format. So now I'm going to use that little month hack again. There we go, that quickly popped up. Now I'm going to put in more of the information on who this was. There is no page number on the page, so I don't have that information to put in, but it was alphabetical, so it shouldn't be a problem. All right, so now that I've put that first set of information, I have my semicolon, and now I'm going to add the Ancestry stuff. So you can see that I still have to enter a lot of information myself, but I do save time with this other part. So I just type, my little code for that is semicolon AI, and then I have a blank here for the record group. So let me show you how I do that. I'm going to pull this back in here, and I'm going to go to this text right here, and I'm going to highlight this because that's the record group on Ancestry. I'm going to highlight it, copy it, and paste it right here. And I'm just going to click OK. And then you can see that it came up right here for me. So again, I want to highlight the ancestry.com and make that an italicized. And then in this instance, I want to add a little bit more information to this. The original information is at the California State Library in Sacramento. And again, I use that quick thing to get my word California. Okay? So anyway, that's how I would do an Ancestry. Now, like I said, I have these for other options as well. So I really like this method and I hope it helps you. Works for me. May not work for you. But for those of you out there that are doing a lot of research calendars, it might be something that you might want to look into. I hope this has been of help to you. I hope that one, if you're a beginner, you're not afraid and that you're going to put something in there, even if it isn't officially correct, okay? I just want something there. I want you to note where you know it, why you know it, okay? And if you're wanting to do things a little bit more professionally and adhere to genealogical proof standards, which is always a good thing, I hope this gives you a little bit of a hint on what works for me. And like I said, other people use different formats. Other things work better for them. You need to find things that work for you so that you can do them consistently and you can do them better. And anyway, have a great day. If this has been of help to you, please like it. Please subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to double it this year. And watch one of these other videos. Maybe they'll be of help to you as well. Thanks.